Welcome to Damn, She's Strong. This is a mini podcast series bringing mega inspiration through different conversations with women to show that strength gets to be multifaceted and it's something we get to celebrate. I'm your host, Mel Lundholm, aka Metal Lotus Coach. I'm a holistic strength coach who gets to help women get strong from the inside out. Having gone through different personal experiences of personal injuries, obsessive compulsive behaviors like hair pulling and nail picking, years of mental health battles, and so much more, I have learned to take my passion for building mental and physical strength to support so many women through strength training, movement, breathwork, somatic work, nutrition, and the list goes on. The world deserves to celebrate strong women, and that is what I'm here to do. So let's get into it. Today on the show, I have Katie Harris, who is a certified grief coach and breathwork facilitator. She's passionate about helping people reconnect with their inner resilience and rise above waves of grief. Having lost both of her parents as a teenager, she knows this bittersweet path firsthand, and it's what inspired her to hold space for others walking it too. Join me in welcoming Katie as we talk through a really amazing conversation about grief and about how she has brought so much light and support to other people. Welcome, Katie, to Damn, She's Strong. I'm so excited to have you here
I'm
and to talk
excited.
to you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to talk to you because I feel like you have many layers of strength that you have shared on your social media and different outlets. But I feel like there's always more layers to uncover and to celebrate because I think you are someone who has probably uncovered a lot of her own personal strength through different things and um, are definitely worth celebrating in so many different ways. And I think for many of us that have maybe encountered hard moments in life, it's very easy for us to kind of push past and be like, okay, I did the thing, let me move forward, let me focus on more exciting things. But we get to like take a step back and look at like, wow, I've really come so far. So I'm really excited to kind of dig into a little bit of that with you today and share with the world different places that you've been and what you have to offer and how you've grown through all of it. So, thank you again. I'm
Yeah,
just so grateful you're here.
of course. And I feel like this is just such beautiful timing as, I don't know, I'm kind of coming out of like the tail end of being in my own shit, if you will, the last couple of months. And what's really been coming up for me the last couple of weeks is really just taking that time and space to really acknowledge like my journey, my experience, just kind of like where I was and where I've came. Because you hit the nail on the head. It's so easy to just be like, okay, I did that, I'm here, like whatever. But when we really allow ourselves to like reflect and see that, I feel like just so much comes from that and like so much like reflection like of our strengths. So I feel like this was just such great timing and for me to just really stand in my story and just, I don't know, be in it and not be afraid of it, I guess.
Totally. And that's what I love about these conversations because I feel like I could pull anyone onto the show and be like, you have something to celebrate. We all have something to celebrate. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, we know your name, but what is a title that you would give yourself, whether it's your formal title or something informal, whatever resonates for you right now?
For sure. I guess formally, I'm a certified grief coach and also a certified breathwork facilitator. And I was kind of feeling into that. I'm like, what would be like my informal title? And I don't know, what feels really resonant to me is just kind of like bringer of light or just kind of like a mirror of light and really just helping reflect back to people like their light and their life force and just kind of helping remind people of that.
I love that. That's so good. Yeah. And I think I kind of got into this a little bit on my solo episode, and I think it resonates really well for you is um, one of the symbols that I love, and obviously because of my brand Metal Lotus, I love the lotus symbolism, and it's this beautiful reflection of like you can't get to this place of light without going through some darkness and some muck and some mud. And so, yeah, I think that's such a beautiful way to title yourself. So I love it. Okay, so getting into our strengths and some celebrations here. So, what is something that you've overcome? I know there's probably so many different layers to this, but whatever feels most alive for you right now, that you could really look back and say, damn, I did that. I overcame that. I'm really proud of myself for accomplishing that or for going through that. So, whatever feels best for you in this moment, open for all of it.
Absolutely. So I guess the thing I'm most proud of for overcoming that is still kind of a continuous learning process and experience for me is losing both of my parents. They both passed away back in 2013, my mom at the beginning of the year and my dad towards the end of the year. And I was just a teenager at the time. I was 17 when my mom passed away. I was finishing up my last semester of high school. I was just starting college. And then later that year, my father passed away. So it's just such an interesting time in my life. Not only was it just such like a transformational, like huge transitional point in my life, but also navigating the loss and the grief of my parents. I felt like it really just so many things in my life clashed. Losing my parents and then just kind of navigating the stuff that comes with that. Just kind of navigating into like a new identity from like teenager now to being like an adult, and I have to learn all these things and do all these things on like on my own and by myself, and just so many different things kind of coming and clashing at once. And I feel like it really just brought me to this place of not really being able to like recognize myself and just kind of I could sense there was a part of me who like wanted people to like see my grief and like see me as a sad girl, but there's also this part of me who's like, no, I don't want people to see that. And it's really all just kind of been like this journey and this experience of really just navigating myself, but also just navigating grief. And I feel like the more I go throughout my life and like the older I get, I'm constantly reminded that grief never goes away. And I feel like that's such a strong like stigma or like such a belief that so many people, especially in Western culture, have tried to paint this picture of you move through these stages and then grief kind of goes away. And
Yeah.
I feel like the older I get as I go through new experiences, like starting a business or wanting to like travel on my own or something, and wishing I could share those things with my parents and being reminded, like, oh, I can't do that right now. And it's just continuous lessons and learnings of grief and how to navigate it as I get older, and even reflecting on like how it's changed from being a teenager to now as an adult. And I feel like it's just really been this beautiful like journey and discovery of myself. And you named it so beautifully. Like there can be so many layers, and the more I've gone into my own healing journey, my own healing experience, I've come to really understand that there's really no like healed destination. For me, it's really just been this like beautiful like unlayering and uncovering and just continuously getting to learn how to better meet myself. So I feel like that's been like, I don't know, the hardest thing I've overcome and the thing that I'm still just continually learning from and gaining lessons and experiences from. And that's also just been part of the huge reason why I became a grief coach, is to kind of share this and bring awareness to this and be that reminder and give people that permission to be with their grief, and that it's worthy to be seen. And there's just so much beauty, wisdom, and power that comes from that when we just allow ourselves the safety and the space to be with it.
That's so good. And I think even just witnessing the way that you reflect on that experience for you and the way that you can even just like communicate it now is such a testament to the strength and the layers that you've gone through and the way that you've overcome probably a lot of self-doubt and a lot of moments of feeling like you don't know how to move to the next step, but you had the courage to keep going. I think it's just such a powerful experience to go through to like have the strength to be like, no, I'm not going to let myself stay in the darkness. Like, I'm going to embrace it and I'm going to let myself feel it, but I'm not going to let myself stay there. And I know that there's so much more light to uncover and to go above and beyond that and be like, I want to be a mirror to help others and to support others, to help them grow too and know that there are people who have gone through this and they're not alone. I think it's just such a powerful place to be in your journey. And I just honor you so much in that because I think it's very easy to have probably experienced any type of grief in life and just kind of wallow in it. And I'm sure there was a time that it felt like that and you felt very stuck. Not to put any words in your mouth or any experience in your mouth. But yeah, just knowing from, I mean, everyone experiences grief to some extent, but I think um, it is very easy to get stuck in these moments and to be like, okay, there's no moving past this, and I'm just gonna stay stuck here and keep reflecting and keep like circulating and spiraling into this kind of downward momentum. But you found the way to kind of take that and spiral it back up and open it up and support others through that. And I think that's so powerful. So yeah, just honoring you in all of that. I think it's amazing.
Thank you. And yeah, you're so right. There was definitely, man, I would say a period of like about 2 or 3 years where I definitely felt very stuck. Especially, I don't know, I remember at one point being in my grief journey, my grief experience, and like feeling just like so stuck and so frustrated. Like, why can't I just like feel better or feel normal? Or like, why does happiness just like feel so hard? And I remember like researching about grief and just trying to like learn what I can. And like so much stuff out there was about like the stages of grief. And I remember like feeling so confused and angry. Like, well, I haven't gotten to this stage or I haven't experienced that yet. So am I doing something wrong?
Mm.
Um, and yeah, that definitely like kept me stuck a little bit. And it kind of disconnected me from like practices and things that did kind of like help me feel better for a while. And it definitely got me into like this pretty dark spot. Um, but I could just sense and feel and like observe this part of me who just like didn't want to give up and who didn't want that to be like my identity and my full story. Um, and it sounds a little cliche, but that quote, like, you either get bitter or you get better, that's kind of like the place where I found myself. I was like, okay, I could really let this experience of losing my parents, I could really let this become my full identity, or I could just let this become part of like my story and like part of my reason for wanting to open back up and like live as full of a life as I can. And that kind of just like became my fuel. And it was just so interesting to just observe how it just like felt like this like tiny little spark, but then how I just like continued to like feel it and observe it and like bring awareness to it. That just kind of like, I don't know, just really became a source of strength for me and just like kind of started to fuel me to like my purpose and just kind of, I don't know, just remaining open and just receptive to things and just like not closing myself off from life, because there was definitely a period of time where I was doing that. And that's kind of, I don't know, a way where grief kind of shows me it's starting to come back up when I feel myself like retreating and collapsing a little bit. So it's just been, I don't know, just so grateful for like this knowledge and just continuing to like learn some of those aspects about myself and just becoming more comfortable with grief and viewing it as, you know, more of like a visitor, not something like, oh, like, why are you here again? And just really like, I don't know, having grace for myself when it comes up, because it will continue to come up. It's not just, as much as I wish I could wave a wand and just have it go away, that's just not how it goes. So it's just been really nice, like cultivating that relationship with myself for sure.
Yeah, I love what you said there about um, when you kind of went through those stages of like trying to research and trying to see what's out there. And there are these processes in place that people have created steps and things, but you didn't let that be your definition of grief and your journey. And I think there can be such a stigma around grief that like it has to go through specific steps at a time, or um, if you haven't gotten past it at a certain moment, then you're wrong or there's something wrong with you. And I think there's just never, everyone has their own unique way of processing things and their own timeline, and there's never a right or wrong around any of it. And I think just the thought of grief in life is a lot of things that it's something that a lot of people kind of push away because I think it's something that can be really intense, and um, we don't always want to think about that side of things or get lost in that type of mentality. But I think it's such a powerful thing that when you can actually sit in the reflection of it, you realize life is just so many different moments of grief, even if it's whether it's losing someone close to you or it's just moving into a new version of yourself or it's moving into a new chapter of life and you're just grieving like leaving a city or just like moving into these different stages of life. I think there's just so many things that we can actually define as grief that people just define as other things. um, and it doesn't have to be so scary and so dark through the entire process. um, and I just think it's a really fascinating topic to really understand and to look into. And until you actually have kind of the courage to start to uncover that, you don't really realize how much strength there is in it when you can actually be vulnerable enough to just like be open to sitting with it. So, man, there's so much I could go into with that.
For sure. I feel like for a lot of people, it's a reminder that nothing in life is finite. Like, nothing is permanent. Like, nothing is totally granted and given to us. And I feel like that can be jarring for people.
Mm.
But as you've said, when you allow yourself the space to kind of just like really sit with that, there's so much that can come from it. Like, I remember at one point, like, really sitting with my grief, and I started to, like, oddly feel a lot of gratitude for it because it symbolized the fact and the truth that there was so much love there to begin with that it even allowed me the experience to feel grief. And I
Mm.
was like, man, like grief wouldn't even be here if there wasn't that amount of love there in the first place. And I just started to have so much gratitude for it. Like it really is such a sacred experience when we let ourselves see it as that instead of like, oh, like it's here, I don't want it to be here, it hurts. When we allow ourselves to see it for the sacred experience that it truly is, like it just allows us to honor the love, the safety, whatever that was there that no longer is, we get to appreciate it more. And then that kind of gets to become a guide for us. Like, okay, I really loved this experience, or like, I got to feel this love from this person. Like, what's going to allow me to feel that again? Or what's going to bring me back to that feeling? So we're no longer trying to chase it externally. That's kind of something that's been coming up in my personal practice lately too. I noticed and caught myself just trying to reach outside of me to like feel the way I want to, and I'm starting to let it sink even deeper into my truth that like no, I have it within myself. I just kind of get to create that time and that space to be with it in myself, and build that capacity.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful reframe too of seeing it as like what a amazing thing to be grateful for because it actually means that I'm not numb to the emotion behind it or what it symbolizes or what it meant for me. I think that's so powerful. And it's such a mental skill that you really have to build because there are so many stories that we can create behind it that just put a lot more pressure or stories behind it that may not necessarily be true or may not necessarily be something that we want to carry. And so it really is this like mental battle or just practice to start to find that reframe and find the way to shift the momentum so you can move into a better feeling state or something that just is more productive. I feel like that's not the right word, but something that can move you into a better energy or something that just feels a little bit more balanced or rooted. So I guess on the topic of mental strength and um, mental practices, what is something that, or even just right now, it can be something you've done in the past, or what's kind of most alive for you right now in terms of a practice that keeps your mind and your spirit strong?
I would say most definitely it would have to be breath work and meditation. Um, it's been so interesting to just like reflect on that part of my journey as well because I started getting into meditation when I was like 17, when my parents were still around. And I remember even like their reaction to me telling them, like, hey, I'm gonna go meet up with some friends and meditate. And it's so interesting how that became like part of my journey, and I started to kind of like get curious around all that kind of stuff. And then like losing my parents happened, and I kind of got disconnected from things. And there was a point where like I would try to like meditate, and I would just get so frustrated because like my mind would just constantly be like ruminating on things, and I just felt like I was doing stuff wrong. I was doing it wrong. So that's where breath work has just been like this really beautiful permissioning of meditation doesn't have to look like sitting in complete stillness and like having perfect posture and like all this stuff. Like we can use our breath to like move energy and stuff through the body. And that's really been, I don't know, just a really beautiful part of deepening like my meditation practice is breath work really helps me to kind of like clear some of the haze, clear some of the muck, kind of like get into my body on a deeper level. So when I do meditate or go into like a visualization or something, it just, I don't know, it feels like it's coming from a clearer, more aligned place versus coming from like bits and pieces of my mind. But I feel like the two together or even separately, just like both have just been really great and just really beneficial and just like helping me stay level headed and stay clear and just not get so entangled with all those stories and beliefs and stuff that like to loop in the background.
Yeah, and I think it's also such a powerful way to allow yourself to stay in the consciousness of the observer. So even if those thoughts are starting to loop, you can let them loop, but you can get in this place of curiosity around, like, okay, what is this actually telling me? Or like, this is an interesting pattern that's starting to arise. I don't need to create any meaning behind it, but just noticing that that's there. I relate to that so much because I think I kind of followed a similar pattern. I found meditation first before I found breath work, and I could very easily be like, okay, the right way to do this is to sit and be still.
Mm.
And I would really try for like an hour every day, just sit there. And I called it, what did I call it? Like the fuzziness. I was like, my brain has to go through this kind of this moment of like filtering through thoughts before it can get to the quiet. And so I would just sit there and let my thoughts like circulate and all of these things. I'd be like, okay, when my brain can finally get quiet, then I can start meditating. And you realize after a while that is the practice. It's just being the present observer of it all. But yeah, I think you're so right. Breathwork is this beautiful layer on top of it that can allow us to kind of keep ourselves anchored in our body so we're not um, losing ourselves physically and we can bring some movement into it. And it's just like such a cool way to incorporate different layers of if we want to be still, we can be still. But if we feel like there's something that needs to move through, that's part of the practice. It doesn't have to look a certain way, it doesn't have to feel a certain way, and there's no right or wrong. So I love that. And then on top of the mental support, what are some physical practices that you like to incorporate to keep your body strong?
I I feel like my favorite or like the one that I tend to gravitate towards the most is yoga. Which is so interesting because when I first got into yoga, it really was more for like the physical side of it, just like another way to move my body and another way to just like stretch and bring movement in. And I, when I really got into yoga, I quickly observed not only like the physical benefits, but also some of the mental benefits as well. So yoga also kind of became this way for me to kind of tune in with my body and like be aware of what's going on. And I also really I love me a good long walk. A long walk through the park or a walk through nature. Hikes as well is another way that I like to keep myself outside, active and strong. Another thing I would really have to point to as well is skateboarding.
Yeah.
When I really got into skateboarding, like as a kid, I remember watching and being like, oh, that must be so easy. Like you're just pushing a plank of wood with wheels on it. But when I really got into it, I learned you're using a lot of your body to really keep you stable and keep you centered. And you use, different parts of your body for tricks and stuff. So that's become a way to keep me active, keep me outside, and also kind of just like stay connected to my inner child a little bit as well.
Yeah, I love that so much. I think that's such a unique thing that you can do that so many other people can't. I've tried and it has not gone well. It's so scary. But I know it takes a lot of practice and a lot of courage to just keep going. And I don't know if you've ever really thought about this, but I feel like skateboarding can almost be this beautiful kind of symbol for like moving through hard emotions and just like trusting the process, being the anchor in like an unstable environment. And I think there's just so much cool kind of crossover between the two that you could layer. It's such a cool thing to watch you even. I remember seeing some of your stories on Instagram going through like your journey of learning a new skill or something with it. And like you show the mistakes and you show the moments of falling down, but getting back up and then getting better. And it's such a testament to who you are, first of all, to just stick with something and to really trust that you can find the strength to improve and to get better and to like find the fun in it, I think is such a huge part. Um, but to also just like stay committed to a practice and to stay focused. I think there's just like so many beautiful things that like skateboarding really is such a great symbol for all of the things that you stand for.
So many, and it really both like skateboarding and snowboarding I got into about the same time, and like they both have been such huge parts of like my healing journey and kind of navigating the grieving process myself. Especially you hit the nail on the head. Like you're learning when you're skating, there's lots of times like you're falling on hard concrete, but you're getting up and you're like still trying the trick you're going for, and you're like not giving up until you get it. So there definitely was a lot of resilience and just like confidence that came with picking those things up, and they definitely were very big aspects of like just my healing and just feeling stronger with handling all the things that life throws at you for sure.
Yeah, I'm just so curious, like going through all of the experiences that you've had with grief and the learnings that you've had and the curiosity that you've had, do you think that the process with grief has allowed you to open up more to joy and to like these moments of just allowing yourself to find the fun and like the non-judgment in situations?
Absolutely. I feel like before I lost my parents and when I was just in that stage of like being a teenager and kind of figuring out my future, like what school am I gonna go to? What am I gonna major in? What am I gonna be when I grow up? Um, I feel like grief like really just kind of gave me this beautiful permissioning that it's okay for life to look different than you originally planned. And it really did kind of like I don't know, for a while it did kind of put this narrow lens on me, and I was in this space of like lack and scarcity, like, oh, I don't have enough of this, or I no longer have this, or this has gone out of my life. But as I kind of just like sat with my grief and let it be there, it really just, I don't know, slowly gave me permission to take the lens off and just allow like any little bit of gratitude to come in. So even just like finding gratitude for simple things like taking a nap with my kitty cat, or just being grateful for like beautiful weather or just like a nice sunny day, like it really just allowed me to like slowly find happiness, joy, and gratitude from other places instead of just putting it all in this like external expectation. It really just kind of allowed me to kind of come back to myself and be like, okay, no, it's okay to get it from these small places. It doesn't have to be this huge thing that you find or that comes to you. Like, it just became this beautiful way for me to kind of, I don't know, search for it in the little things and not keep looking for it in all the big things outside of me.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's so many ways that we can kind of like focus on all the negatives or all the ways that things hold us back. But I think you've done a really good job at like really finding um, the little like holes of light in the process and just like continuing through that and helping, like you said at the beginning, helping to be this mirror for other people to show them that um, there is always light to be found through the process. So I love that. All
Yeah.
right. So, what advice would you give for other women out there who maybe want to get out of their comfort zone or maybe move past their own experiences of grief or explore something that feels unknown in their own journey or like it carries a lot of weight?
Um, I think the thing that feels really like top of mind and resonant to say is you have strength in you. It's in there. Even if it feels like a tiny little ember, like barely burning, keeping the fire alive. Or maybe it's burning a little stronger, or maybe it feels like this like huge bonfire. Like whatever it is, like you have strength in you. We just get to ignite that a little bit. And I know when days are heavy, when things feel tough, when life catches up to us, it can be hard to remember that. But I invite you in those moments to remember. And when you catch yourself catching that something frustrating is happening, like, yes, that is your strength. So that would be like the thing I would say. Like, you have strength in you. I know it can be hard to feel and find sometimes. Sometimes it might be an ember, sometimes it might be a huge burn, but no matter what it is, it's in there.
Ooh, that's so good. Yeah, I feel like that piece about even awareness alone is such a strength. That's such a thing that some people just really don't even pay attention to and they just look past and they're like, yeah, I noticed it. It's like, okay, celebrate that. That's amazing. That's such a strength. So, that's so good. I love it.
I even have to remind myself that sometimes,
Yeah,
especially in this line of work in the healing space, like we tend to put ourselves on a pedestal, and it's just nice reminding ourselves that sometimes too.
yeah, 100%. I mean, none of us get anything right 100% of the time. And I think that's the beauty of these practices of somatic work and breath work. And when we start to awaken to our patterns and our different thoughts and things like that, it really starts to allow us to move into these spaces of like we are in the driver's seat and we get to start over as many times as it takes. And we're always going to get reminders of there's something called the law of opposition, which I love to bring up with my clients and myself a lot because it's this reminder that even when you're on this upward momentum of heading towards whatever goal you're on or moving into your journey in a way that seems amazing, the universe is always going to bring us these reflections of kind of the opposite of what we want our outcome to be, just to make sure that we still are committed to the process. And so
Mm.
we get to choose as many times as these reminders come up that, oh, it feels like I'm stepping back. It's like, nope, it's just a reminder from the universe that I get to choose again to stay committed to the process and to just keep going forward. And I think that's just life. That's human. And I think that is honestly the purpose of being human is to just keep going through the process and keep evolving and keep finding ways that we can, um, overcome and then maybe feel like we took a step back, but figure out how we can keep moving forward. So, yeah.
I love that so much. And it's like the more we get to know ourselves on a deeper level and the more we can love that, the more we can just let that love shine outward and have for others too. So it's just so much yes to what you said.
Yeah. So good. So if anyone wants to connect with you or work with you or just follow along on your journey, how can they do that?
Yeah, I'm on a couple different social media channels. On Facebook and Instagram. It's Finding Harmony with Katie. I do have a one-on-one coaching program, and then I'm also currently just kind of noodling on some other offerings and stuff right now as well, which I'm just like really excited to be in that space of creation and just kind of see what comes up. So I'm really excited on some projects and opportunities coming up. But Facebook and Instagram, Finding Harmony with Katie.
Yay. I can't wait to see what is coming next in your world. I know you continue to do amazing things and you keep uncovering different ways that can be so supportive for other people to have resources. So, yeah, I definitely recommend following all of your stuff and following the journey. So, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. I would love to maybe do another one in the future where we can dive deeper and just keep uncovering new layers of wisdom and new growths and new celebrations in our own journeys. So, thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Of course, I'm just grateful for you just kind of creating this space to just celebrate and just shine lights on just so many different amazing women. It's just awesome to be part of this little community. So thank you.